and welcome to the Auto Riff Tailgate with Matt and Clint. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me back. I love doing this.
Oh, it's lots of fun. So you'll see today, you can see the crap in my tailgate on the picture, and that's because I had to make us smaller to make room for a special list that we're going to present today. It's going to be the top 5 ugliest cars being made right now according to science, and that science is me. I am science.
Is this Clintometry?
Yes, it's Clintometry, bringing you the top 5 ugliest cars. So before we get to that, though, we played this little game on one of our previous recordings, but the problem was that recording didn't work. So now we're going to play it again.
Because I did really good.
Yes, you did. So the game is I'm going to read a funny ad from my local area. On top of that, I've searched these out and found them. And then Matt's going to try and guess what vehicle it is. So, Matt, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. Stop what you are doing and get your checkbook out for this one-of-a-kind American dream. Are you looking for a truck that is ready to upset your future in-laws? Help you score points with senior citizens in wolf sweaters from Chapeau? Well, look no further than this prime example of what America was great at. Making rusty V6 rear-wheel drive trucks that win hearts and win at the pump. This truck is no slouch and needs love and someone to listen to them on a Friday night. This truck is ready to make your life more enjoyable. Best offer takes this truck as is where is. So there you go. Oh, wait. Oh, here's one more part. Make 2021 the year you got a truck that will make you grow your hair long and purchase tube socks on sale from Hart. Hart is a kind of a discount store in this area. So, Matt, what vehicle? Obviously, so it's American.
Right.
It's a truck.
Tube socks and long hair.
Yeah.
That's usually 70s or early 80s.
No.
Is it newer or older?
Yeah, a lot newer than that.
Tube socks? Come on. Well,
I have tube socks, sir.
Okay, well, they've come back in 2021. I do too.
I've had them all my life.
Yeah, well, mine say gay and tired on them, and you know what I am? Tired of this. No. Let's see. They had a resurgence in the 90s because I remember having them in middle school.
I think you're looking too much into the tube socks, Matt.
Right. Well, I need a laptop. Well, normally
it's in the 2000s. We'll put it this way: the vehicle's in the 2000s.
Yeah. Grow your hair long in the 2000s? Who did that?
People in the country, Matt. Think mullets.
So 2000s. Think mullet. Think home. Well, most of the things we saw around home were like old F-150s, lifted F-150s, actually.
No, not an F-150.
Well, I mean, so you had your F-150s, your Silverados, your, GMCs, and you had the old Broncos were rolling around. No, you said the actual vehicles of 2000 something. Oh, yeah, no. Oh, God.
I'm going to give you a hint.
My only other thought before you say it was like S10 Blazer-ish, because you remember they were just really disappointing at times.
Yeah, they were. Still not.
Go ahead with. I know. Okay, what's your?
It's near and dear to our hearts. If you remember, and I'm just gonna sip my silver beer.
Is it a Dodge Dakota?
Yes.
Because you had an '08 Dodge Dakota that was.
It was a 2007 Dodge Dakota in the ad. I was. My silver bullets. My 2008 Dodge Dakota.
That's so funny. I wasn't actually going to say a Dodge Dakota because I thought my mind was latched on to because Clint had a '92 Dodge Dakota that we nearly died in.
Yeah.
True story. It was an actual car accident, not just a scary moment. But
my only one.
Hey, yeah, and my second. I was a passenger.
Yeah.
That was quite a morning.
Yeah.
I was so sore the next day.
Woke us up at 6:30 in the morning or whatever it was.
Yeah, listening to George Strait, if I remember
Yep.
correctly.
Uh-huh.
I rem- I remember we hit, impacted, the music stopped, and then started again, and I was like, man, that one of those weird thoughts, like that anti-skip worked really well.
It did. Anti-skip worked really well.
Meanwhile, in a three-car accident and people everywhere, and it's like, oh God, that's oh man,
It's 2007 Dodge Dakota V6 rear-wheel drive is what he was selling. So now the meat of this.
that disappointing.
No, I loved mine.
Right, like I mean,
I
I
think he did
definitely
say disappointing your in-laws though.
well, depends on what your in-laws are like.
Eh, would have disappointed my ex-in-laws. Anyways,
Am I allowed to laugh?
yeah, I can edit it out. It's fine. Uh, so now for the main objective of this episode, the top 5 ugliest cars, and I want to specify just cars, not SUVs, not trucks. These are just regular cars.
I have not seen this list, by the
No,
way.
Matt has not seen this list. He's going to react in real time. So without further ado, number 5 is the Chevy Malibu.
What year is that the new one?
Yes. So I believe it is the last year of the Malibu. So I didn't
God.
used to think the Malibu was that bad looking, but now I'm looking at it and when I say ugly, what I'm saying is unimaginative in this instance. It has no feature that stands out.
No.
It's almost like a 90s Toyota. It
Do
is
you know
a
what
car, and that is it.
it looks like the old Toyota Solara and a hardtop Chrysler Sebring had like an accidental child.
Good description. That's pretty accurate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just like the Oldsmobile Alero, like that
Yeah.
kind of it looks like that. That's actually what I'm looking for.
Yes.
Oof. Like,
Yeah.
sure, okay, it's a car, but why are you charging $25,000 for this?
Well, you know these Malibus are purely just rentals at this point.
Well,
Like, there's nobody out buying these things. You go to Hertz, rent a car, and you end up with a Malibu because you needed a mid-sized car.
wow.
Yeah. So that's number 5.
God, most gay guys are not necessarily car gays, but I think even if I showed up with this, the other person might ghost me. As they should.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
All right, that's a good number.
Yeah. So number 4 is the Toyota Prius. I'm sorry. What's going on with the front end of that thing?
Well, I will say it looks better than the original. Oh, you remember the original ones?
No, I
Like,
wouldn't even say that.
really? It looks. I'm
Yeah.
not saying I like it. I'm just saying that it's an improvement.
It.
Um,
I don't know if it's a lizard or a smiling cat.
It looks like somebody grabbed like the top of it and went and yanked it back, and then froze it in place.
Yeah. Or
Like they
yeah,
pushed
it looks
down,
like
pulled back.
that.
Like they cut it. Yeah, like
it's
they cut
going
it.
really fast, but it's not. You know, it's not.
Like the car. This was riding in the back of a truck going really fast and stuck its face
Yeah.
out the window. And then
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom.
Yes, kind of.
This is why
a
tell me to
small
lift the head.
dog stuck its head out, and then so you can't see what I'm pointing at with my mouse here on the recording or anything, but there's this like line in the back that it almost looks like it's trying to mimic like the old Finn cars of like the 50s. You remember?
this looks like they tried to add a little bit of the styling of the Corolla to it and kind of stopped halfway.
Yeah.
Literally, if they just sold, if they wanted to sell this thing, they should have sold this basically as this, like the mechanics of it inside the body of a Toyota Corolla, and it would sell just fine, and they would not have to go through all this or put us through all this. And be like, you want this kind of Toyota Corolla or that kind? Done.
Yeah. I
That's
think I totally respect what the Prius did for the car industry. I didn't used to. After doing the episode, though, I respect it. That car's not good looking.
Isn't its carbon footprint actually a lot bigger than what the rest of like
I
other?
don't know if that's true or not. I think that would probably come from the batteries and mining the
Right.
batteries.
Right, like the overall cost. Like
Yeah, the
this
overall cost.
car just appeared out of nowhere, sure, but what it takes to get all of those materials into this.
Right.
One of my friends at Disney, he got pulled over in his Prius when we were still employees there together, and he was
How?
so impressed. Yeah, he was like, I got pulled over on I-4 in a Prius. I'm
For going too
Ow.
slow or no?
right, maybe you should not tell people that.
Right.
Like, that's not a brag, bro. You know? Oh, this. So, yeah, this is why he didn't show me the list ahead of time.
Yeah.
And this is.
So number 3 is the Toyota Avalon. That looks like a HEPA filter, an air purifier on wheels.
I have never really. I know the Avalon was considered kind of like the flagship car. They
Yeah.
should have just left that to the Camry. The Avalon is basically the Lexus, the LS300, the old LS300.
Mm-hmm.
They should have just cut it off there and just dropped the Avalon entirely, or made another low-end Lexus, because that's basically what you're driving.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always thought the Avalon was pointless.
So there were some other cars that I considered for this list that I just didn't like the front end of it. So this made it because I don't like the front end of it, but then the rest of it is also dumpy.
Well, it also has a lot of that Malibu look to it. The overall shape, like the silhouette.
It's just meh. It's like they tried to do something interesting with the front end, and then they failed, and then they just gave up on the rest of it.
Do you know what the headlights remind me of? So I had a 2017 Jetta for a while, and I really liked to drive. It was really fun to drive. It looks like they tried to get some edginess with like the headlights, but that front and that grille is just. It looks like somebody's going to come up behind it and use that car to like vacuum something.
Yes. Or grate some cheese.
I'm going to vacuum my couch with the front end of that. Or grate some cheese.
It's terrible.
Oh my god. It makes me think of pizza, and I just mowed the lawn before we started this, and I would kill somebody for a pizza right now. Clint's like, great, that's another thing I have to edit out.
Yeah. Matt's making death threats. Great. Edit that out. So number 2, the Lexus ES and IS. Really, they both look very close to the same. And is that a saline whale front end?
I can't unsee that.
Or
it actually looks like it looks like a trapezoid that got dropped.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Oh God, we created a new shape. Oh, I know. Let's put it on the front of our car and slap an L on it. Then people will buy it."
Right.
I'm really glad you put this on the list, because I'm so disappointed, because I used to love the IS 250 when I was younger.
Yeah, they were good-looking cars. Yeah. With like the clear taillights.
Yeah, the Altezza lights.
Uh-huh.
I just thought it was different, and also a lot of people didn't like it because they were like, "Oh, it's like a poor man's version." Yeah, hi, 23 at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, when you live in a city like Orlando, parking is a real thing. That couple inches smaller car is going to fit so much better in your apartment parking lot or in your garage. Even we have a 2-car garage. Yeah, we put 2 cars in there, but there is no room to sneeze. Now, is there an entire line on the right side of our garage from where our escapes doors have been notched into, and it looks like a prisoner counting off his days? Yes, because my husband has opened his passenger door into the side of the garage so many times. And that's
No
but
respect for the vehicle.
that's what I liked about the ISs back then. But the newer ones, I'm just like, really? Why?
No,
Why this?
it looks terrible, and it's I I
Disappointing me.
almost put this one number one,
Ooh.
but then I found number one, and I went, no, God, I hate this more.
So before you knew number one, were there any what like I know we talked you said a little bit there were some that you liked the car overall, but the front end just made you gasp.
Yes.
So do you have any like runners up? Were there any that you were like you teetered on and ultimately decided not to do on the list?
So there's the BMW 4 Series, the new one.
Mm, good call on that one.
So that
I don't
was the one that almost made the list purely on the front end, but it's purely the grill, and I don't have a picture of it to show anybody watching YouTube, but you can go look it up. It looks like it has buck teeth, and but the problem, the reason it didn't make this list was that the rest of the car looked really good.
I can't get the vision out of
Yeah.
my head.
Do you know which one I'm talking about though? It has like the long, skinny, whole front grills instead of the classic BMW kidney style grills. It's got
God.
two buck teeth on the front. And I just saw literally before we started recording that BMW did it's called, I think it was called the IXM or something like that, SUV concept that has the same grill, and I'm like, stop it. It looks terrible. Don't do that.
I can't get over the vision. It's like the you know how people sometimes put eyelashes on their
Yes.
headlight.
Yeah.
This is all I can think is that somebody glued buck teeth to this poor
That's what it looks like.
front end of this poor car, and this car is going to become sentient and leave home or go on a killing spree.
So the thing here's with BMW, because I think the BMW 8 Series almost made it as well on my list.
That's a huge, yeah, yeah. I could,
And it's the
yeah.
same problem. It has a giant grill, but the thing I don't understand with BMW is that like every other, so you have the 1 Series, 2 Series, 3 Series, 4, blah 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 blah, and like every other one of them looks really good, and then
Right.
the other ones look terrible.
So we returned my Beamer in, I think February. My lease ended, so we took it back in February of this year. And we, of course, walked around the dealership waiting to do all the paperwork. And we decided not to replace the car. But you're already there. Why not look? And my least favorite vehicle, excuse me, my least favorite vehicle there was the 4 Series. I
Right.
just didn't like how it looked. They had a few SUV concepts there that I was really not fond of. That I'm like, if I was financing that much, I wouldn't want my car to look like that.
Right.
Now, that X3 though is pretty, and the X5 is just, it's awesome. David is my husband is 6'3", so putting him in a small car is usually frustrating because the older we get, the harder it is to get in and out of them.
Yeah.
So, like, now the 3 Series is actually fine because once he was in the car, he had plenty of headroom.
Yeah.
Plenty of leg room. It was totally great, but it's a German car. It's lower to the ground, so I don't know. I was already more critical of the cars looking at it, and I know a lot of people are like, why do you care so much about an aesthetic? Because that's not what drives the car, right? But if I have to drive this thing for years of my life, and I have a choice on what to spend my money on,
Yeah.
I want to like looking at it.
Well, that's the
Um,
thing, right? Like to me, I like to have a vehicle that when I'm walking away, I have to turn back around and look at it again.
Oh my God, get out of my head. The next thing I was going to say was like, I was told that you bought the right vehicle when you park it and walk away, that you turn and look back at it. I
Right.
always loved looking at that car. It was black on black, and I had the windows blacked out.
Hmm.
And of course, living in South Texas, you want tinted windows. But and I garage kept that beast, and it was just always. And I just had the 320. I had the lower end one, and it was so fun to drive.
So before we get to number one, Matt, what do you think what would be your number one
My number one, like ugliest
car
car.
currently being made?
See, that's a tough one. Like currently being made, it really, really opens up the There are cars I thought were hideous over the years that I just despised.
Yes,
The
and
Prius,
like let me say that a lot of these new cars would look good in the 80s and in the
yeah,
90s.
with that. I would agree with that. You know what the style of the Avalon and that number five, the Malibu, they remind me of, like I said, the Alero, the Neon, the when the Neon got a little newer.
Yeah,
The Dodge. Oh shit, there was another Dodge that wasn't the Neon. It was slightly,
Avenger.
yes, that's it. Where it looked very sturdy,
Yeah, or the
and
Stratus. I don't know.
oh,
There's Stratus and then the Avenger.
it's the Stratus, and then also the four-door Sebring, and all of those. If these cars had been released then, I think they would have been ultra competitive at the time. I still
Yes.
hated the looks of them, but I remember at the time thinking, thank God this is better than that boxy look that a
Yeah,
lot of cars had.
like the original K cars were.
Yeah.
Yeah, how
Um,
anybody looked at those and went, "Man, that's a good looking car."
right. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Number one, right now, there's been a few cars that I just literally hated in the last few years. Oh, the Prius was actually on my list. I hate how it looks so much. Some of them are just boring. Like,
Yes, I had to kind of go past boring and had to go for some of
yeah.
which was just.
Let me see if it's still being made. There is one. Let me
Okay.
see if it's. Oh, it was another car I really hated looking at was the Chrysler Concorde.
Yeah,
I'm like, what the fuck is this thing? Like,
I
ugh.
recently just found out that the Chrysler 300 is still being made.
Here it is. It's still being made.
Okay,
The Buick Regal.
the
I think
Buick
they're just.
Regal. Oh, you don't like the Regal?
I don't. I hate Buicks. They're awful.
I
I've
was.
never liked them.
I
I
like the
never.
new Buicks. I didn't like the old ones at all.
I'm looking at this thing and I am just 5 seconds from grabbing a cardigan and heading off to bingo with my ball and chain,
I'm gonna look
aka.
it up. I'm looking up the Buick Regal right now.
Yeah,
See,
I'm
that's
just
that car does not offend me.
for $30,000. It should.
No, because 30,000 is cheap now.
Sir, you are not helping this argument. They have the base, the preferred, and the essence. That sounds like the
Okay, the
perfume
trim
line.
levels are stupid. Yeah.
That sounds like something I'm going to release off my podcast in the next. Hi everyone, welcome to ComaCast. We're going to be promoting our new colognes and perfumes today. Try base, basic, smells like an iced coffee. Preferred, would you like that shaken or essence?
Yeah.
You
Essence of
know?
coffee. So no, Matt, that is not my number one. I apologize, but now we know
No,
Matt
it's okay.
hates Buicks.
I really dislike Buicks. I actually don't know. If I had to guess your number one, I would have actually have said I would have said the Prius. That would have been
Yeah, no,
because you can't
the
fan of
Prius
the
was
Prius.
very offensive. I agree. No, my
Well,
number one is
ready.
the Honda Clarity.
Oh, ooh, what the hell is that?
Yeah, it's a high. I think this might actually be its last year in production. I believe I read. It is the hydrogen fuel cell car.
That's hideous.
Yeah,
And it has the same structure as the some of the other vehicles that you despise. You really just hate that body style. Okay, so this generation of cars is not for Clint Ward. Like, not at all.
some of them no. This one is. So the reason it got number one is it seems much like the Prius, and really the Prius could have probably. Well, I really don't. I dislike that Lexus a lot too.
I
This
hate the wheel.
car, yeah, this car seems to have several different design directions. It was almost like they took four guys and said design four different cars, and then they cut all of them up into pieces and then stuck them together at random and went car. Because there's nothing on it to me. I understand beauty is in the eye of the beholder. There's a Clarity owner out there who thinks their car is just the sexiest thing in the world. But
They
I'm
should
sorry,
probably
you're wrong.
like
Nothing,
your cars
nothing.
are a powerful thing, Clint. You just remember that.
Yeah, Nothing flows, and like there's so if you look at the okay, so the front wheel well looks normal, like your front fender looks normal. It's rounded, kind of Civic like. The grill is
Yeah,
hideous, but we'll get past that.
it's just like the oh, you know what this is? It's the Civic's like eccentric aunt.
Yes. But then you move to the back. And if we just, you can't see me doing it, but if you just look at the back, the fender, the rear fender starts to be rounded like the front. And then it's like somebody came by with a ruler and then just drew a straight line. And then weirdly squared off the back part.
Yeah. Do you remember the old station wagons where the back wheel they had the covers, like it kind
Yes.
of covered part of the wheel?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. They tried to revive
Yes.
this and then change their
So
minds.
the idea, and the Clarity's been around for a while, and they did this with the original model kind of even more so. But the idea is that it's more aerodynamic. So more
But when
aerodynamic and a
it's falling face down
yeah,
because
it's
of
more aerodynamic in the sense of obviously gas mileage. Uh,
a semi truck like the rest of us. God.
right. So yeah, the car to me is, as my son would say, disgusting. And I cannot, for the life of me, and I'm looking all around it right now, find a redeeming quality. And oh, another part of it that offends me to my core. If you look in front of that rear ugly fender, there is a little. There's an air scoop. Are they trying to tell me this is like a fast sports car?
Oh, well, Clint, it actually will go so fast that there's a button that'll clearly let out a parachute behind you to help you slow down.
Oh, like an
Because
NHRA drag race car. Yeah.
totally, it's a sleeper car. You just
Oh, for
don't
sure.
know.
And look, I'm all for hydrogen cars.
I
All
will
for it.
say though, the grill doesn't look bad.
Okay.
That's like the only part of
It's
the
the
car.
only part that's okay. Like if you took that grill and stuck it on a Civic, you'd be like, okay, it's a
Well,
Civic.
this looks very Prius-y,
Yes.
actually. It looks very Toyota Prius. This is not, I don't, this is not creative at all. And like you said, there's a lot of design directions. I think if they applied the front end to the back end, it would still be kind of hideous, but it would be like consistent. I think one of the ugliest things about this car, other than the color, is the design not being
Is it
consistent.
red or brown?
I don't know, but I seen.
Rust.
Well, I had another thought, but I'm not going to say it because
Yeah.
you've already got to do enough editing. I'll
Yeah.
save it for after.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime. I care. Um, I don't. Cleaning those wheels is such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's just. I mean,
look,
I on my Ram, they're the only easy wheels I've had, and I don't know how many vehicles that have been easy to clean. Everything else has been just like that, just terrible. Trying to
well,
get all the nooks and
the
crannies.
headlights look like slanted versions of the Toyota Avalons.
Hmm.
The side looks like a Prius. The back looks like a Prius. I need to look at the like a rear view to see how much of that they ripped off, but it really looks like they ripped off a few design ideas and they were like, "This is oh, you know what this is? This is when you copy your friend's homework and they tell you to change enough so that it looks like looks like your own
Yeah.
words." That's it.
Yeah,
Got it.
that's it. And on that bombshell, I think we're gonna close out the episode.
That's a good one.
That
Yeah.
is. This is your friend's homework that you changed a few answers on just to make it look different. Ooh,
But thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This is really fun.
this was fun. And then in 2 weeks, you could do your top 5 worst looking SUVs if you want, or whatever. I don't know.
That would be fun. Yeah, I guess we could do that. And then, oh gosh, what if I see you guys? The scary thing is Clint's like he also moderates this as well. So, if I say a hideous one, we might jump from like number 5 to number 1. You're like, oh, we had technical
Yeah,
difficulties.
technical difficulties. I didn't agree with any of his choices.
Today's episode of Clintometry.
Yeah. Uh, That's the breakaway series.
Clintometry. Yeah.
Clintometry. All right, thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks again for listening to the Auto Riff. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, or you can email us at theautoriff@gmail.com. Without you, the listener, I'd just be a crazy person talking about cars to myself. I appreciate the support and the conversations with my listeners that this provides. Until next time, everyone drive safe and have a great week.